What's up, former party people? This is Jerry, the one who actually combs his hair on the A is for Alcoholic podcast. Now, if you're finding value in listening to the AIFA podcast every week and you want to support sharing it with others, we invite you to become a sustaining monthly or per show contributor. Go to patreon.com/AIFA. It's super easy and it only takes a quick moment. It's about as easy as buying one of those pre-cooked space chickens from the grocery store, taking it outside, giving it a big old kiss, and kicking it into traffic. Why would you do that? Anyway, you do you, and I'll do me. Again, go to patreon.com/AIFA. And with that, people, let's start the show.
A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time. A is for alcoholic, and that's all right by me. What's up?
That's all right by me.
Isn't that a song? It's like something like G is something, and that's all right by me. Isn't that like
I think it was C is for cookie. I think you're talking about Cookie Monster.
Yes.
I think.
I had this awesome gluten-free chocolate chip cookie the other day. It was fucking delicious. It was one of those bigger ones. And it actually came in a 2-pack, and I ate them both. Like, I ate half of one, and then I put it away, and then I came back. I was like, I just need to eat all this. I'm glad there were only 2 of them, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it was really good. So what's going on out there, Jerry?
Not much, dude. Not much.
The world.
Not much in my personal life.
Right, yeah. I mean, you still are self-quarantined until...
I'm still in quarantine, yeah.
Yeah. So, Jerry and I postponed the recording of this podcast by a day. There was a couple of different reasons, but also we really weren't sure what to talk about exactly. And normally we would just get on and say whatever and, figure it out as we go if we don't have like a defined or an outlined point to make with the conversation. And I think with everything going on out in the world, it's really hard. I don't know about you, but for me, a lot of the stuff that I was doing before, a lot of the stuff that I was into, the stuff that I wanted to work on, seems really trite right now.
Yeah,
it seems unimportant, right?
Yeah.
And so when we do this, I still think this is really important, and I think sobriety is probably the only thing that I would say has to come before anything else that's going on out in the world. Because I can't be of service to anyone if I'm drunk.
Right.
And, the point that I think that I wanted to make, and I think that I speak for Jerry as well, is that, and first, Y is for... You good? You good? Like,
you good?
Just checking in?
You
like,
good?
Hey? Like, because nothing's good right now.
I think we're going to get a lot of people being like, no, I'm not fucking good right now.
Good.
I'm not good at all. And I respect that because I'm not either.
I'm not good. I'm not good at all. And it's, I mean, that's, I think ultimately it's for the best that we're focusing our attention on something that needs to be focused on. But, one of the things in the program that Jerry and I kind of came up in, and something that always kind of bothered me or I wanted more from, and so I don't want to blame the program, but I was always looking for more, was that I would go and and go to a meeting for an hour or something like that, and then I would have the rest of the day, and I would never feel like, even though, I've got the book with me and I can always check in there, but that there was all these other things, and that sobriety doesn't happen in a bubble. It doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? We don't get to just recover and then do everything else normal. And so I imagine that in the next hour or whatever, we're going to talk about stuff that's going on right now, because it's affecting every single person. And as two white guys, we are probably going to get some things wrong, say some things that seem ignorant, say some things that seem tone deaf.
Yes. And
all I can say is, we're still working our recovery and doing our best with what the fuck is going on. And I would say the same to anybody else out there listening, that it's a practice, it's a process, and it's not, we don't know. We're just making it up as we go along right now. And the thing, I think the thing that feels so different to me now, because police killings, the police killing black men and women in America has been going on since before America was a country, right? Since before police were police. So this is not,
since before police were police. Yeah.
This is not something new, but I think with the advent of, the heightening of social media, and with everyone having a camera on their person, and even though there was no ambiguity with some of the other cases that came before this one feels like there is it is unambiguous what had happened. It's unambiguous that the police officer put his knee on a man's neck for almost 9 minutes. I've never been in that situation. I think maybe in the, I don't even know, grade school, maybe in a tussle, right? But never for my life. And so there's no question about what's going on here. There's no gray area. There's no, the tape was grainy, or, you know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's the difference.
There's no devil advocate moment, which I feel like sometimes I have fallen into for the sake of being obtuse, or for the sake of being argumentative, or I would do this whole... I've had a really big change during these events, like as far as like the way I looked at things, right? Because I was always one of those people where I was like, everything's a shade of gray. You can't look at things black or white. And I still feel that way to an extent. But I feel like, I don't know, man, in regards to, as I gotten older, my opinions on the police have changed, have wavered. Because when I was a young man, I was in trouble a lot with the police. And I've dealt with the police abusing their power on me personally, and on people I care about personally, And so I had an opinion there. And so now I have an opinion now, which is, I don't know. It's not a positive one, that's for sure, especially watching all this footage. I'm like, yo, and that's someone's everyday fucking reality. That's not my reality. You know what I mean? So I need to get in tune with that and empathize with that and feel that rage and feel that anger, and then what do I do productive with it, Here's the thing with recovery is, when I first went into recovery, the idea was, I can't drink anymore. My life is unmanageable. Everything fucking is horrible. I cannot continue on this path. And as I went through my steps of recovery, and as I go through them now, I realize, this is now, the pressing need is not to not drink anymore, because I cannot drink right now. Like today, in this minute, I know that I'm not going to drink. In this hour, I know I'm not going to drink. It's pretty likely throughout the course of this day, I'm not going to drink. So now my big agenda is, how do I better myself as a person? So that I can avoid falling back into that relapse again. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying if you are out there and you're in a relapse, I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying this is from me personally. So every day it's about bettering myself. And so bettering myself is the need to feel empathy, and the need to understand what's going on, and the need to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes, and hopefully my mistakes don't cause harm or pain or suffering to other people. And so this is a really good, what's happening right now is a good way for us to learn. You know what I mean? Yeah, it really is. And I think that's an important part of recovery. And I said it earlier, I'm so grateful that you were like, dude, our recovery doesn't happen in a vacuum. Because when we were talking pre-show, I was just like, what the fuck do we even talk about here? Like, what relevance are my thoughts right now. You know, they're only relevant in the fact that my actions are more relevant than my thoughts, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
I think that it's, you talk about being on the precipice of relapse and getting better. And
right.
I have come to the summation that if I'm not getting better, I'm getting worse. It's one or the other.
Word.
Like the stagnation doesn't, there's no like, oh, I'm just staying the course, you know, and I've talked about in the last several months with the coronavirus, you know, kind of cutting back the amount of running I'm doing because I just want to maintain and I don't want to overexert my immune system and I don't want to overexert my body and get sick and so on and so forth. But in that was those steps, even though I was reducing them, was getting me better, right? So
yeah,
when I think about something like relapse, and I've never been there, and I don't think that it's again, it's not a moral judgment, but you need to get yourself as far away from the cliff as possible. So like you said, the daily need to drink is gone. So how do I keep myself away from that cliff? Like, where do I want to go that is going to make me better physically, mentally, emotionally? And, you know, right now we're looking around and it's apparent that there's this bigger, and everybody says it, but it's like it's a systemic problem. So but
everybody says it because it's true. It is a systemic problem. Yeah.
And the people who are being affected most directly and most violently and most atrociously are black men and women, black Americans, right? And so that is where I feel, and maybe I have a different lens on it because I am also, you know, in a committed, loving relationship with a black woman. So there's something there, but I feel that that's where my attention needs to be right now. And I'm really grateful that I do have the level of recovery that I do so that I can put my attention here and not feel so overwhelmed. Because I do, but I mean, we were talking about everything that's going on, and she said, can you imagine like being in like active addiction? And you know, she doesn't drink and she doesn't have a problem with alcohol, and her thing was like, can you imagine being addicted to pizza right now? And I was like, you know, like, but it's true. Can you imagine like fucking, I mean, I've been there where it's like, I'll order a large ass pizza and some fucking couple things of chicken wings and maybe get a calzone and some breadsticks or whatever, and I'm the only one here doing that fake ass thing. I think there's a Key and Peele skit where it's like the fat dude on the phone like, oh, should we get one more pizza? And he's talking to an empty room, you know, like But being in active addiction right now and having to think about like, well, I need to make sure I have enough vodka. I need to make sure I have enough whiskey, and are there cigarettes to go with that? And you know, making sure that whatever shitty food is on hand that I don't need to think about and can just, you know, And then on top of that,
is my Coke dealer protesting right now? Can I hit up my Coke dealer, or is he protesting?
Right? You
Not
know,
that I'm saying protesters are Coke dealers. See, this is all I'm talking about. I'm trying to add some levity to this shit.
Should we? And you're making a joke,
saying
but it's
some dumb shit. Yeah.
But I'm saying is that Coke dealers can be protesters too. They can have, you know, a moral stance on what is going on here. I'm just saying that, you know, I don't know any Coke dealers currently, but you know, I assume that they're multifaceted human beings as well. You know, so I think that it's important to remember, for me, that recovery is still fucking crucial, and that I don't let it slip or slide. And we do this every week, and I think that that's so helpful. And you know, my girlfriend said to me the other night, she's like, "Thank you for being sober." I could, you know, and I think in her mind she was also thinking that I haven't been to a meeting in months, and she was like, you know, I think that, you know, she said, I look at you and I imagine that you are somewhat of a leader in your community of recovery, and like maybe you should do some like social distancing meetings at the park or something. And like I think that, you know, AA is pretty out in the open these days, man. Like there's no way to there's no other way to get around it. Like it's definitely changing. But I don't know that I don't know. She's right. She has a point. But the thing was that she was grateful that I was sober, and that meant a lot to me. Like, because we don't talk about it a lot. And not that it's like hidden, but it's just we're just trying to live our lives. And it is it's more important now than ever because I need to be able to be
right
of service to anybody. And you know, like you were saying, gosh, you'd be out there in the streets were it not for the fact that you don't want to get sick.
Right.
And I don't know that I would. And I don't know that I necessarily have to. I also live where I live. And it is 99% white. It is fairly affluent. Maybe not 99%. And, you know, that's my perception of it. And that's my experience, right? Those are the people that I have to do business with mostly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing less and less people these days, which I think, you know, being quarantined probably led to
absolutely. Yeah.
Fucking getting fed up and you don't have a job to go to. Fuck it. Protesting is my job. You know what I mean? Like, you work Monday through Thursday. If you can't make it, get somebody to cover your shift. You know what I mean? But, you know, and a couple of the things we talked about, my girlfriend said to me when I was asking, I was like, I don't know what to do and I don't know what to say. And she's like, I'm not an answer factory, you know? Like,
I love that. That shit cracked me up. Yeah. It's like, I got all the answers for you. You need to go out and learn, young man.
Read a book. You know how to use the internet.
And read.
Google it.
Yeah. You can even get some audio books and listen to it on your run. Yeah.
So that's something that occurred to me. But then, you know, she also said, go talk to your white people. They're the ones that need talking to.
Right.
Like, and it's so true because she's like, I've been dealing with this all my life and I don't want to deal with this. And so I try to listen, as I've always done. I try to be of service. And if being of service is sharing things that are of value to me on an Instagram post, like, you know, the whole black square thing, and there was a lot of controversy about it. I did it too.
And then I erased it.
Right, because you're like, oh, was it wrong? Was it stupid? Was it detrimental?
Well, I don't want to muck up anybody's feed, especially if you're out there in the streets and shit's going down. Do you know what I mean? You're using Instagram for your fucking way of communicating. Then I'm over here like, hey, what's up? I'm virtue signaling with everybody else, even though it's coming from a place of empathy. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And like the thing that I think of is like, okay, I don't know if it was stupid, but it doesn't have to be stupid if it can be the start of something, of learning something and going, okay. But I went on the next day onto Instagram, and it was almost immediate that like everything else, not all of it, but there was so much that was like, oh, here's all the funny cat videos, and here's all the cooking videos, and you know, whoever else.
Right.
And it was just it felt so fucking trite. And it doesn't seem interesting, or it wasn't entertaining anymore. Like almost overnight I was just like, this is pointless. And I wanted to share a story about work so we opened up our doors at the restaurant. We have outside seating. Some people come in, and everyone's sitting down, and it's warm outside, and we're doing the best we can, and everyone's got masks and gloves. Well, all the people who work there, and you know, people have to put their mask on if they're going to go to the bathroom, and all this kind of shit. And so, you know, we're doing the best to follow all the rules. And at one point, I go to bring something out or go to a table, and this guy is he's like, so this fish, and I said, yes sir, is everything okay? He's, oh, it's lovely, but was there like a relish, or was there like a succotash at one point, like that you peel off the bone? And I was like, I'm sorry sir, is something wrong? He's like, no. And I'm sitting there trying to listen to him, and he's trying to describe this piece of fish that he had last year at the restaurant. And I was like, oh, I can't do this. Like, the fucking world is on fire, and you want to talk about a piece of fish that you had in 2019? Like, I can't. And I'm like, I just again repeated, is everything okay? Oh, excellent. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. And I just left the table. But like, it just seems a little trite and unimportant. I need to make money.
It's fucking bald face privilege, but at the same point, what do you expect from some like boomer white guy in Napa? He's not gonna come up and be like, "Hey, that fish was delicious. Black Lives Matter." Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not gonna do that. They all live in their bubble, just like we live in our bubble. You know, like, they just live in their bubble and they don't even give a fuck because they're not affected in any way. Nobody's gonna kneel on that dude's fucking neck till he dies. Nobody's gonna kneel on that guy's son's neck till he dies. Do you know what I'm saying? So they don't gotta think about that shit.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it's really weird, man. I've been thinking about a lot of things lately, and I'm just like, am I an ally? Yeah, I'm absolutely an ally. And then I've like had this conversation with my wife, and I'm like, telling her like, well, where's my perspective? I'm like this white dude, right? Like, I didn't grow up with that. And she's like, well, Jerry, you're not white. You're like Mexican American, right? You're Chicano. And I'm like, yeah, dude, but I look white. Like, for all intent and purpose, the police don't see. I'm not brown. My skin's not olive. You know, like, I don't have the same skin tone as my siblings. You know what I'm saying? So to me, like, walking down the street, anyone in a position of authority is just going to look at me. They'll probably judge me by the tattoos, but at this point, tattoos have become so mainstream that they're just like, oh, I bet that guy's either a barber or a fucking butcher, you know. So it's like, where's my place? You know, how do I signify myself? It's such a strange thing. And then I don't know, man. I'm just so glad you said this recovery doesn't happen in a vacuum, because I still have to maintain my recovery and still be like, my point, I guess, with this entire podcast is to feel empathy and to try to have some type of action that helps. I just want to help and I want to learn.
And that's it. You know? And that's, you say, where's my perspective? Yeah. Well, go get one. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we got to do here. That's I feel like that's part of what that allyship is. Go get a perspective. Right. And it's just, I think that's something to, like, okay, before, when you were drinking and you didn't know how to stop and you were like, I don't fucking know how to stop. I can't help this. I can't help this. I can't. There's no way out. There's no way. I don't see it. It doesn't exist. That's how I felt for sure. It's not there, right?
Yeah.
It's I am blind to it. And then somebody said, "Hey, why don't you look at this book?" And I'm sure you were resistant, and you were like, "This is confusing." And what the fuck? You want me to believe in God?
What, you want to come to your little cult meeting, drink some shitty coffee, and listen to some fucking boomer?
And so where is the,
it,
you know, we talk about the miracle, and I think one of the things in the book is like, most of them are of the educational variety that happen over months and years. This is the same thing, man. This is the same thing. We're blind to this shit. We don't have a perspective. We don't have the education. We have to figure it out. And there's no, you know, I mean, maybe there should be like a fucking Allies Anonymous or something, you know, but like there's no guidebook, man. I mean, there's lots of books, and you know, one of the things I realized too is Instagram. You go out there, everybody, at least in my feed, and if you go and check it out, there's so many resources of places to.
As a matter of fact, I've collected some of them, you know.
So it's not gonna be. It's like recovery, man. It's not gonna happen overnight, and it's gonna be uncomfortable, and you're not gonna want to do it. You know what I mean? And you're gonna
right. And it's like, I've already experienced that being pushed and pushing back and learning and falling down and getting up and fucking up and fixing it, and you know, it's weird, man. Like, even I really wanted to go out in March, but my fear of getting sick is overwhelming, right? And we always talk about not living in fear, but this is, the coronavirus is some real ass shit, you know? Like, it ain't no fucking joke. And so here I am sitting here being like, I want to go out and have my voice be heard, but at the same point, like, I haven't even been to work in 3 months because I'm afraid of getting sick, you know? And also, they just lifted phase 1, so technically I haven't been to work in like 3 weeks or whatever. You know, since we were allowed to go back to work. Shit, my boss called me yesterday just to check up. How you doing? You still gonna be a tattooer or what? You know, like, she's like, you take your time, do what you need to do before you come back in. I just want to see how you're doing. And, you know, there's been talk going around the shop that, like, you may just quit, like, flat out quit tattooing, you know? And, you know, because I haven't been around, I haven't been there. I haven't really even gone, like, I haven't had any interactions with my colleagues, my coworkers, just because I've been in my quarantine bubble, You know, like I haven't been to a store since March 14th. That was the last time I was around other people in public. I haven't had a conversation with anybody other than my wife and like my family and the pizza guy. And we're talking like 8 feet apart because I ordered a pizza yesterday for the first time in a month, and he just like left it on a little chair. Also, did you know Domino's? Because I know you're not ordering a lot of pizzas, but Domino's has this little box. It's like a little extra cardboard box they give you, and it's called like the quarantine buddy or something. And they put them so they can leave it on your doorstep, so they don't put the pizza box just flat on the ground. It's like a little stand they put down now, and then put the pizza box on top of the stand, so they're just not putting it in the raw ass dirt, I guess. But that shit is so funny because I like walk with Meg. I'm like, look, it's like a quarantine buddy, or it's just something stupid like that on there. But even that was like my first social interaction with another human being in weeks, where I was just like, you could just leave it there. And he's like, well, I got to watch you pick it up. That's part of our policy.
You like to watch, do you,
like,
buddy?
You don't have to sign anything, though. Yeah, exactly. He's like, I got to make sure you got it so it doesn't get stolen off your porch or whatever. And I'm like, cool, man. You know, all my empathy. You know, I'm just like, have a good night. Be safe out there. He's got a mask on. He's sweating in his fucking pizza van. You know, like, so for me, the idea of me going out in a crowd right now, regardless of anything, and does that speak to my white privilege? Am I a fucking shitty person? You know, like, these are questions I ask myself, and who has the answer? I don't know. Am I gonna walk up to the first black person I see and be like, am I shitty because I'm afraid of coronavirus and didn't march? You know, and they think, what is this random person gonna say?
Tell you to get the fuck out of their face. Get out, you know.
Yeah, like, leave me alone. I don't want to catch coronavirus, right, you motherfucker. Like, get out of here. You know.
I think health is a good concern.
I don't know, man. I'm trying my hardest, and I always tried my hardest to be empathetic to people in positions of oppression. I've always felt like not soft spot's the wrong word. I've always felt a strong sense of empathy to people who are being oppressed because I have felt oppressed in my own life in separate ways. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I get it. I get it to an extent. I don't get all of it, but I understand the feeling of hopelessness, you know, and that feeling of like futility. Like, I get it. I just don't know all I knew what to do with that shit was go to AA, you know, or all I knew what to do with that shit growing up was just be me and avoid the people that were fucking kicking my ass, you know, like, yeah, it's weird. It's just so surreal, man. We're just living in some really surreal times. Remember the 90s? Remember Fight Club?
It's great, right? Yeah. Jesus.
Right, so like, I was thinking about this the other day in an argument you and I gotten into in like 1999, and I think we were drunk, and I just seen Fight Club, and I was all tuned up off of Tyler Durden and all that shit, and I was like, yo, like spitting that same rhetoric that Palahniuk had written, where I was just like, we need another war, we need some purpose for our generation, we need to figure something out as Generation X, we're not doing shit, we're just sitting around being this and that and this, and you're like, you're so stupid, what the fuck are you talking about, you know, because I was all drunk and on a rant, and I was washing dishes the other day thinking about that conversation, I'm like, yeah, we got our fucking war. And it fucked us all up. You know what I mean? Like, we got nothing positive about it. You know, and then not only that, but like, we got all of those conflicts in those. I miss those days, with the exception of being drunk. Like, I miss those lackadaisical days of 1999 where all I had to worry about was going to the fucking coffee corner and my tattoo apprentice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know,
stressful.
Man. I guess it's just part of getting older, is nostalgia.
Well, this is very different from anything else. Like, I was talking to my mom, and she's like, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, she's going to be 70 years old next year. And, you know, and she said, one, I've never seen a health crisis like this where it shut down the entire world. I've never seen the protests. And her thing was that a lot of it has to do with how quickly information spreads via the internet, because protests that she was aware of were in small pockets in areas of the country and or the world, and they just weren't able to disseminate the information and say, hey, we're doing this over here, you should do this over there.
100%.
And I think that and now we've got the largest global civil rights movement in history happening still.
Every single state has a protest in it, and your mom's absolutely right. And you know what else it was too? It was that we were all on quarantine, or we were all just rolling out into that first phase one, with the exception of those few states that were just like, fuck it, let's open the gates and see what happens. But everybody else was at home, so all that everybody's on Instagram, everybody's on Snapchat and Twitter, and it's passing quick, and we got nothing to do. So they're like, what? I ain't got no job at the fucking Olive Garden anymore. Let's go fucking protest, you know? And some of those people were like, let's throw a fucking brick, you know? And I get that rage too. Like, I absolutely get it. I absolutely get that rage. I understand it.
Yeah. So I can't, for anybody who's dealing with alcoholism right now, like, I'm sorry. I really am. And I would say that it's got to be challenging too, to be able to not go somewhere and be connected and not be able to have a physical human being, you know, because part of my recovery was learning to trust strangers. And when I can't be around strangers enough to kind of get comfortable with people and know people and learn people, it's difficult. And so I'm not saying it's impossible, and I'm not saying that it's not worth it. I talked to another friend of mine. We do Zoom talks, and it's really helpful to just, even if it is on a screen, and I try not to get angry at that, you know, oh, it's on a fucking screen. This is bullshit. This is the way the world is, right?
Really? I like it. Although I haven't done a Zoom AA meeting in a while, but I can vape during the Zoom AA meetings. I'm just like, I go off screen though.
Because you don't want to.
And they come back and like vape will be coming out. I don't know why. I just don't want someone to be like, is that guy vaping weed during the... And I'm not. I'm vaping nicotine. But anyway, go ahead. Keep
just
going.
That I try... Again, gratitude is the attitude, right? I know that sounds corny, but...
Right. It's hard as fuck to feel that right now.
So like that's part of what I do with in my journal now. Like what I end with is, and I'm grateful for, whether it's just my health, for the sunshine, for my ability to be aware of things that I wasn't aware of. And I saw it and I knew about it, but like it was just a thing that happened over there. And like it really sucked, and somebody should do something about it, and it should be changed, because that's not the way that anybody should live, but that's over there. And I've got, you know, cartoons to think about, and I've got, you know, I got to make sure that dude likes his fish. I had some drunk guy who was saying some weird shit to a table like across the way, and I'm really thankful that his buddy who was with him had the wherewithal. He was like, blah, blah, something about the fearlessness of God or something. He was babbling some nonsense. And his buddy who was with him at the table was like, and we'll go ahead and take the rest of our dinner to go. And I said, excellent. And I told the girl I was working with, I was like, you can go ahead and drop the check off at 46. I'm boxing up their dinner and we're getting them out of here. He's drunk and he can't.
And you imagine being that guy's buddy, like with your drunk friend who just fucking can't hold it together and just couldn't hold it together. Well, I thought we were going to go out for a nice dinner,
right?
Here in Napa.
Basically.
You can't even fucking hold your Chablis or whatever. You can't even keep your shit together. And I bet you it's part of a pattern. Not to assume, but I imagine if you're fucking getting mush mouth, that's probably part of your pattern, you know? And it's just like, God damn it, Patrick. I just wanted this fish with succotash on it, and you're over here talking about Jesus.
It was so... And then at one point, like, I looked over, and they left shortly thereafter, but as I was leaving the table... to go get the food all boxed up and get them to go, I saw that his mask was just on the ground, like, next to him. And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
I just don't need, like, and I was thinking, like, how am I going to broach this? Because this is going to happen again. And I think I'm just going to have to be straight up with people and be like, look, we're in a global pandemic, and you are welcome to be here, but that behavior is not. And I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? Because we're not admonishing the people who have a problem with alcohol. It doesn't help to shame them or admonish them, but it's the behavior that comes with it.
No, because we've both been that guy. We've both been that guy. So who am I to... Anyway, go ahead. It just hit me like when you said it. It's like, well, why would we? We were there. I've done that shit.
So...
We've done it to each other.
Yes, we have. But plenty of times with this fucking shitty behavior. And so it's like... That's the important thing, is like it is this behavior that needs to stop. So I don't want to like attack the person, but it's important that, especially in this health crisis, that I can't have you loudly yelling at other tables
with your mask half hanging on.
Like it just doesn't
like this is not the
appropriate place for that. You have to leave. And so I think that's an extremely important distinction for anybody who has anyone in their life who's dealing with an alcohol problem, is that it's the behavior. Because if I could drink 20 drinks and there was no change in my behavior and I still behaved myself, I mean, you could argue that there are other problems, health problems that I'm going to have, but
absolutely.
I wouldn't deny you access to a table, to a seat. Do you know what I mean? Now, my own personal, issues with serving people alcohol and stuff like that, like maybe I shouldn't do it because it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like I'm really helping anybody by getting them another glass of wine. But I like to have people enjoy themselves. So it's a little weird there. But I think that it's important to remember that it's the behavior and not the person. The person's, again, I don't know this guy, but I imagine he's fucking struggling with something. Or else you wouldn't be.
He's not having a great night if he's getting so fucked up. He's talking about the fearless love of God to like some other person in a fish restaurant,
Basically, and it's
or a pizza wood stove wherever you work.
Yeah, it's all of the above, man. But
it's heartbreaking.
So
there's all the maladies we have to live with as human beings. All of it is just so overwhelming sometimes, and then it's just framed within this huge social upheaval. This uprising that's happening right now, which is also part of the human malady. It's just sometimes it's really overwhelming, man. Sometimes I just gotta listen to Run to Jules album.
No,
Have
not
you heard
yet.
It yet? Are you
a
in
little
Run to
bit, not
Jules?
like you, but I mean, it's good.
It's really fucking good, man. Oh my god! And they recorded a while. It's just anyway. This is not Jerry's album review, but it's good. If you're out there and you like hip hop, most definitely listen to Run to Jules, man. That's real. That's
Killer
real,
Mike
man.
had.
Killer Mike's a real fucking guy, man.
Yeah, he's something else for sure. I would say to anybody who wants to have a drink or is having a drink and maybe thinks they should have a drink that it's not worth it. The problems don't go away. They don't go away.
They don't. They just amplify. Right. They don't. They amplify.
I mean, whatever program you find and however you find it these days, like stick with that until you find something else that works better and works better and works better. And I mean, I don't know. We talked about maybe for our next show doing a Zoom meeting, and I think we should. And
I don't know you think so? I was just thinking about the logistics of that the other day, and I'm like,
I'll figure it out. I'll just put it up there, and maybe
talk about that because you also have people who have to be willing to consent to having their voices recorded and put on a podcast.
Then
I guess consent is when you sign into the Zoom meeting. I don't know. Anyway, that's for outside.
So
of the podcast. That's a logistical. That's a behind the stage plan.
Right.
You don't see us stuffing the rabbits in the hats. God.
Right. So yeah, man. I think that in this time, I continue to do the things. I do my push-ups, which I've been able to do more these days, which is exciting.
Good for you. I was thinking about you the other day.
I do my push-ups and my sit-ups. I go for runs when I can. I write in my journal, and I feel, one thing, I feel a certain level of purpose with everything that's going on right now, and I don't really know, like, what my specific place in it all is, but it feels good to go, okay, I need to learn some more about some things that I didn't know about.
Yes.
And it feels good to have direction.
I honestly, yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think our job right now is to listen and learn and to help. To help because we have privilege, man. Like we started this whole race like 10 steps forward just because of the way we look. Now you and I both of us have not come from like any type of blessed financial place. Do you know what I mean? Neither of us came from rich parents or parents who have money. So we don't have that privilege, but we have the privilege of the way we look. So we can always help. Like, I always feel like I gotta help because just being born this way, looking this way, regardless of who my mom and dad are, it's the way I look now. As long as I don't say anything in Spanish, they won't figure it out. Because it's hard. It's hard for me not to say shit in Spanish without the accent.
I think too, as far as helping for me is, realizing, and I'm thinking back, I don't even remember the racist joke exactly, but it was with an old boss, and it was really kind of, it was bad, and it was dumb, and it was like, not that I'm trying to say, well, make sure your racist jokes are clever, Jerry. Make sure they're smart. You know what I mean? Like, but it was just so out of nowhere, and I kind of just walked away, and I didn't say anything. And that was 6 years ago, and I was like, fuck, dude, like, that's not cool to not say anything. It's not cool to tell the joke, right? But it's not.
I was just thinking about this shit the other day.
So that's something that I am.
Go ahead.
I am committing to, is that it's like, if something comes up and there's an issue, regardless of the situation, that I need to say something. I don't need to be angry.
Right.
I don't need to be mean, but I can just be straightforward, and I can say that that's not okay. And I'm really hoping that I don't have to, but like it's bound to happen, and so I just need to be committed to saying something rather than saying nothing, which is what I've done in the past.
Well, committed to your ideals, it usually disarms people, and people usually react with being defensive, and at that point you can just be like, hey, I ain't been doing these push-ups.
Like, this is it. This is real. Okay, you can be defensive. Don't do that. Don't do that around me.
Just don't do that around me, right? Like, have definitely worked with clients, with people I work with who have said some wild shit, either racially or about people's, their sexual orientation, or about people's gender, and I would push back, and then when it got a little too hot, I would back up, because at that point it just becomes someone trying to hurt my feelings. You know what I'm saying? Although there was a client who was visibly intoxicated, and the tattooer tattooed them regardless. And I was in this position where I was like, this person is really drunk. They're not too drunk as far as, well, this person's too drunk to be getting tattooed.
Right.
But it's not in my position to tell another artist that they can't make money. You know what I mean? I'm going to leave it up to their discretion, because at the end of the day, the liability falls on them, not me. And so this drunk person getting tattooed, it was this girl, was sloppy and aggressive, and at one point was talking about her kids who were biracial, but just kept dropping the N-word. And it was really fucking pissing me off. And I didn't say shit about it. And nobody said shit about it in the shop. And I finally was over it. And I like slapped the fucking massage table and stood up, because I was about to be like, hey, you don't talk like that in front of me. I don't respect it. Like, you have to have respect in the shop. And then as soon as the other tattooer saw me slap the table, she's like, okay, we're done here. And started wrapping this girl up. And then I still to this day regret that I didn't stand up for my morals and stand up for I regret a lot of that I didn't stand up for the way I feel about things, and the way it affects other people, with that attitude that this other person walks around with, believing that shit. And then is my pushback going to change their mind? Nah, it'll probably reinforce the way they feel, but
I just think that I think that it's completely within your power to say that is not acceptable here. I do not accept that here.
Yeah, word.
I do not accept that here.
Word.
If that is, and I mean, and
right.
We all have to make a fucking living, right? Like, it's really painful,
right,
and difficult when it's like, well, what is more important, my paycheck or my ideals? And that's a shitty place to be too, because like,
yes,
you can say, I could have said, hey, that's not okay. Hey, where are your bosses? Do your bosses know you talk like this? We need to talk about this, because if something's not going to be done, then I need to leave. And like, that's a hard thing to do for a lot of people. But I really think that for me, like, it's more important to be committed to not accepting behavior that doesn't fall in line with my ideals. Not fall in line, but like, that doesn't.
Right. Do you know what I'm
racist
saying?
Ass
now
shit.
We're coming from a place though of like, yes, right. So now I'm coming from a place of how I feel about it, instead of the greater narrative of how it affects others around me, and how it affects culture around me, and how that is an indicative part of our system and a part of our culture, is that's acceptable. That because your children are biracial, all of a sudden you feel like it's your divine right to use a racial slur. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that is just part of her cult, or that person's culture, like, it's just this big cultural, not a part of their culture in a positive way. I mean, it's like this big cultural thing now where I'm looking at it from my perspective, because of course I'm like, I'm I'm me, so everything is affecting me, and I have to like really zoom out. It's all about, just like in recovery, finding your right size, and finding my place in the universe. And my place in the universe is not really necessarily important to the universe. It's important to my tiny little solar system with me and my family and you and the people I love and care about. But in the greater scheme of things, it's how I affect the people around me in a positive way is what resonates out past all this shit and this. I don't know, man. The systemic shit. It needs a change, and I'm hoping this will change it. I'm hoping with all my heart, and I'm trying to figure out what I can do. And like you said, I know this whole podcast is Jerry being like, "What do I do?" Like, fuck, don't drink. What do I do? But
you actually.
It's a lot we're grappling with. It's a very weird.
So here's something that just occurred to me, and but yeah, I mean, you figure it out and you learn, and it's uncomfortable to learn when you didn't always know how to draw good, right? Well, maybe you did,
right?
Yeah,
I was born this way, man. I was born.
So
talented.
One of the black men that I love listening to speak is James Baldwin. And I've never read any of his books, but and he talks about how black people, and I think, and I'm going to get this wrong if somebody wants to correct me, wants to give me, and I'll have to go find the exact source, but he talks about how a black man has to live like the brain is, there's two different brains going on, two different thought process, because there's like, I just want to live my life, but then I also have to think about how my life is being perceived by white people around me. And I need to be careful about the things that I do, because white people will perceive me incorrectly, and then therefore my life will be at risk. And he's just amazingly, like, he's fucking next level. So if you are curious about what to listen to or what to read, I would say, and I have not read any James Baldwin, and that is on me to go and fucking do that. But what I'm hearing now from people, from white people, is I'm really concerned about my behaviors and what I say and how they'll be perceived by black people, and it really makes me uncomfortable because I don't want to, I want to be able to say what I want to say, but I don't want to do it wrong. And it's the exact same fucking thing, without the police brutality, without the fucking death, without the oppression and racism, right? So it's like, and all we're talking about are some hurt feelings and some confused thoughts. And like, that's the consequence of trying to figure it out. So I'm going to keep fucking trying to figure it out, because it's not fair that my girlfriend's upstairs neighbors it sounds like they're moving fucking furniture, dude. I swear to God. Like, it would be like, yeah.
Really?
Like, not just, you're stomping around, but it's like, is it time to move the couch again, honey? Like, and she's like, can you go up there and say something? Because in her mind, she doesn't want to be the angry black woman. So she has to think twice about her actions because she's worried about what white people are going to think about it. And like, that's fucked up,
Yeah.
So I think that, what do we say? And so like, it's uncomfortable. You're worried about how you're going to be perceived as some ignorant or tone deaf white person. Well, welcome to the fucking club. What do we say in recovery? Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Right. Maybe this whole thing is the correct set of tools in which to learn how to be a better human being.
Right.
Correct. Right.
So,
I guess it is.
So how do I rewrite the 12 steps for white people understanding racism? Right.
Right. Exactly. Like step one. Fucking realize you're powerless over your fucking privilege.
You're not
powerless.
I thought about
over
that too, but you're not. You're not.
Yeah.
But I mean, you feel that way. Or you're oblivious, maybe not powerless.
Well,
but
you're oblivious. Maybe realize you're oblivious
to your privilege. Step two.
Because we started a race way farther forward. That's the only analogy I can think of for it. I mean, there are other ones I can sit here all day and throw them out there, but and like I said, I can throw up my badge and be like, yo, I'm Mexican American or whatever, but like, that doesn't count for shit. That doesn't count for shit.
Not in this conversation, perhaps. I mean, it does
not in this
it does
conversation.
Count for your experience, and it is important about who you are, because
your
voice does have value.
And I'm not looking for reassurance. Right. I'm just like, I'm not looking for reassurance. I guess, you know what I'm kind of mentally doing a little bit right now, putting over this podcast is like, I'm like, listen, I look white, but I'm still cool though. You know, like you're not going to catch me in some New Balances.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Oh yeah, those are the Trump
maybe
shoes,
my
New
back was
Balances.
hurting that day. The New Balances, the Trump shoes. You MAGA
Don't
shoes.
tell Joe.
I don't want to get into politics. Motherfucking MAGA Knight and the New Balances.
MAGA Knight
like,
and the New Balances. Is that like fucking?
You know what I'm saying? That's like my new fucking Michael McDonald cover band. Except I love Michael McDonald's music, and Michael McDonald's music is actually has a lot of fucking soul to it. So that'd be more like my Kid Rock cover band. Kid Rock and Yellow Wolf.
Kid Rock and Ted Nugent.
Just like some old country fried vibes. Man, but I even with our listeners, I don't want to alienate anybody. I don't want anybody to listen to this and be like, those guys are two fucking liberal assholes. They're not talking about recovery anymore. They're getting all political, even though everything around us is political now. You can't even get recovered without some type of politics. Man, I had a meeting. Lady would just start talking about Trump, and I'd have to get up and walk out because I'm like, this is not helping my recovery. I'm listening to your fucking diatribe. Like, someone needs to check you, and it's not me. I'm going to go vape in the parking lot.
I don't think that being racist has to be political. I really don't. I think that you know what I mean. There's racists and there's anti-racists, and like that's it. And a lot of us are stuck figuring it out in between. It doesn't mean that we don't want to do better. It doesn't mean that, you know what I mean. Like there's still
right, and we absolutely need to confront on a personal level. We need to confront our biases, and we need to get comfortable with the thing we're biased against. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the only way you can, as far as fixing it on a personal individual level. On the grander level, I don't know, man. What am I gonna be like, go vote? Hey, all you fucking recovering alcoholics, get your ass out there and vote. You know, like all I know is like my whole life, the things I weren't exposed to, the minute I exposed myself to them, I realized that they weren't as bad as I thought they were.
Yeah. Do
you know? Yeah.
So I think that's a huge thing, and I'm not concerned about if somebody is interested in perpetuating racist stereotypes. I have no interest in aligning myself with them or they with me, and so it's like I would say, fuck off. You know what I mean? So I'm not interested in alienating anyone who is interested in recovery.
No,
but
yeah.
That's a different thing. And if there was somebody who
those are two separate
different
things.
Political, if somebody wanted to argue policies, that's fine, and they had a different idea about the policies in which we govern ourselves, then I could do that, and I could help you be recovered. But that's
maybe part of their recovery is realizing that they're an asshole.
Isn't that part of all of our recoveries? I mean, it's
just part of all of our recoveries. It's just like you hit that spot where you're fucking finally like all evened out, and you're just like, yo, I need to throw this stupid red hat in the trash. Wait, there's other people in the world besides me?
Right?
You know, just balling up the fucking Trump 2020 shirt, tossing it in the garbage? Yeah. I guess we've just broken the line into political.
I mean, I don't really see any other way to do it from here on out, and I really don't see any other way to have. It's too big of a thing, and it's changing the world entirely.
It's all part of our narrative. It's part of our culture. It's part of our story now. It's part of our recovery now. You and I are sober during a fucking pandemic with a riot. A riot has happened in every single city. Every single major city in this country. Every state has had a protest. And we're fucking, like I said, we're in recovery in a pandemic during like the greatest social upheaval in the United States, other than like the Civil War of our generation. How about that?
Yeah.
Wild shit.
So
dude.
I was reading this article, this Vice article about historians and how historians look at the present. And we are in what is called a quote-unquote cool zone. And what do I mean by cool zone? Is that there are periods...
It's not my house.
Yeah, right? Do you know AC in there? I got my unit for my room.
It's not my... No, it's just my garage where I kick it because I'm so cool. It's my cool zone. I'm like, yo, welcome to Jerry's cool zone. You want some sunglasses?
I see. My cool zone. But anyway. They were saying, what are the periods in history we love to read about, right? It's Whether it's
All
like
the upheaval and the
revolution, World War II, World War One. These are cool to read about, but dear God, we would never want to live through them. And currently, we are living through what they would call a cool zone, which means in 50 years, which we might make it 50 years. I think I'm closer to
maybe if we're like in our 90s. Yeah.
This will be considered. Wow, you guys lived during the pandemic and the largest civil rights movement in global history. Wow, what was that like?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I had to go fucking talk to some guy about a piece of fish.
Yeah, it fucking sucked. I was like questioned everything I did, and also didn't want to die.
Yeah, right.
On a fucking, I didn't want to be intubated. Yo, man, the cool zone, man. There's a lot of. It's like my man cave, but it's my cool zone.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot of like fluorescent lights. There's an old beer sign. I don't even drink beer anymore. I have a Leinenkugel mirror. It's not up in my garage. Yeah, it's just stuff behind a table. I'm like, what do I do with this? It's big, too. It's like a 30 by 40 inch Leinenkugel mirror that someone gave me. And I'm like, that's part of my cool zone, though. It's got an old kiddie pool in it.
Right, my cool zone. Welcome to the cool zone.
Yeah,
but yeah, man, there's
cool
just
zone.
there's a lot to take in. There's a lot to think about, and there's a lot of things that we as white people have not been confronted with and had been able to ignore. And it feels like to me that I can't ignore these things. And like well within recovery, looking inward at the aspects of myself that need to change despite this old thought pattern, right? Isn't that what recovery is about? We always talk about like those thoughts that are in the back of your head that say, oh, you're a piece of shit. You need to drink. You're nothing without me. Like think the same thing about white supremacy. Think the same thing about white privilege. It's the same thing about my white skin. Oh, you're nothing without me. You need me. I'm the only thing that makes you good. Like, what the fuck is that?
They're fucking vampires, just like alcohol. Those ideas are vampires. You think they're giving you power, but they're actually taking from you. They're just sucking the life out of you. We need, and this is actually really appropriate for recovery because it's two dudes trying to change some shit about themselves,
and that's where it starts. That's where it always fucking starts. That's where it has to start every single day for me. I wake up and go, okay, sober day. What are we gonna do? What's the plan? Happy sober day.
Yeah,
and it's like whatever actions you take to make your world better, your family better, yourself better, whatever that means, man. Like. Think about those actions. Don't be afraid to recover. Don't be afraid to recover from any of this. Like it's time. The shit has literally hit the fan, and the fan is blowing shit all over the house. It's not going to get cleaned up anytime soon, and you're going to have to fucking get used to the smell for a while.
It's going to be a long, hard job. Yeah, long, hard, hot job. Yeah, real hot. And there's nothing like a hot turd in the house, man. It is rough.
Basically.
I've been there.
Your dog is standing behind the fucking fan with diarrhea.
Just let me know that it's time to clean some shit up, Dad.
I need you to smell it and clean it up and
figure
out what you've been feeding me.
Might even get a little in your mouth. Might get a little bit in your mouth. That's gross, but it's part of the process. Yeah, man.
Like, I don't know what else to say about it except that it's that was one of the things. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and recovery will come. Yeah. Work the steps. Fucking talk to another alcoholic. Talk to another person. Talk to another person with white privilege.
Reach out to another
whatever.
Yeah. Also, we're still in a pandemic, so wash your fucking hands.
Right.
Don't touch your mouth. Wear a mask when you go out in public. So that way, if you're fucking asymptomatic, you're not giving it to other people. And fucking smash the fucking systemic fucking white supremacy. Let's do this shit. We can change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, change your fucking mind. It's not hard to change your mind. You're not going to have... Your brain's not going to fall out of your ear if you change your mind about shit.
It's really not. And
wash your fucking hands. I just want to reiterate that. Y'all have some nasty hands. Dirty hands smell like soy sauce. I know this because I tattoo a lot of wrists. And I have to put a lot of grease up and rub it alcohol on your soy sauce ass fingers.
It's that musk scratching nuts and butts and just
You know what I'm saying? Like, just come
so
on now.
what else was I gonna say to you? Oh,
I don't know. We just ended it with dirty hands and dog diarrhea.
Well, I just haven't seen any of your PSA videos for washing hands lately. The core.
I'm done. How am I even gonna be? There's no humor. I'm just like, what's up, everybody? It's day number 80, and fucking our whole system is fucking being changed. You know, in a furious way. Let's find. I have like no humor.
I know.
About it
I know.
right
It's
now.
hard.
This is the most humor I've shown all week. My poor wife.
Yeah.
This is me watching like. Being like, yo, I'm not watching CNN.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like MSNBC might work. I don't know. Where the fuck is the BBC?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to have humor. I mean, my girlfriend and I will always be like, we're like, ooh, is that racism? Ooh, you need to. Ooh, somebody needs to change their diaper, like like.
Yeah. Oh no.
Ew.
Yeah. No. Exactly. The one at the shop, like yesterday, somebody was like, "Hey, the phone's not working at the tattoo shop. What's up? Why is the phone not working?" And I was like, "Antifa broke it." And then I was just like, had this idea of Antifa coming in and just tearing the phone out
and
of the wall
leaving,
and running off, just being like, "I'm an anarchist," like, Antifa. That shit. Come on now. Boy, I'm not even gonna get into this. There is no Antifa the way you think it is. If you think Antifa is the way it is, you got to do some research.
Yeah, it's. Oh, did you see that thing I posted on my Instagram stories about Pat Robertson, fucking the new leader of Antifa?
He's like, that's not cool, man. That's not cool. Come on, Trump.
Pat
That's
Robertson
not
is
cool.
telling you
Pat
it's
Robertson.
not cool.
He is going into the shady twilight of his life. Like, it's just the golden hour. And that I was like, dang, my Nana used to watch 700 Club like a motherfucker when we were kids. And now I see him and I'm like, God damn, dude, they were just, it's the golden years. It's not even golden anymore.
But I mean, for Pat Robertson to be rebuking
cool.
Trump, oh,
right.
Boy.
Their words don't mean anything, though, dude. None of those dudes. It's funny, but their words don't mean shit.
So, in conclusion, I guess we've passed the line of political discourse, and I don't know any other way around it. And I certainly am. I think that going into the future, Jerry and I we're interested in keeping conversations to alcoholism and recovery and all that stuff. Right? I mean, it's important, and it really is. It doesn't matter. Everybody. I can't help change someone's mind if they're drunk. And so whether we agree or we disagree, I would much rather you be sober, because I would much rather have a conversation with you sober about other things that are important as well. So take care of yourself. Listen, learn. It's going to be okay. Live, laugh, love. Yeah, and it's a hell of a time to be alive, and you don't need to be being drunk and being hungover in these days. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. It's worth the time and energy and putting into recovery. And Jesus, Jerry and I are coming up on 6 years and 5 years respectively. Dude.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to make my own cake this
You're
year.
not getting one out there?
Maybe I'll have one delivered, because it's not like you can get a chip and a cake from a Zoom meeting.
Right? You can't.
I never got a cake anyway, though, but yeah. This will be my year. I'm going to treat myself.
You deserve it. Fuck yeah.
Thanks. You deserve a cake, too, man. A nice vegan, whatever
right?
weird shit you're
probably
eating
some. It'll be like dates and walnuts. Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.